The encounter space was silent, cold, endless. Broken ships floated like dead fish in a black ocean. It had been a battle, short, violent, and one-sided. The alien fleet had destroyed everything. Commander Ryza stood inside her sleek silver ship. She was tall, calm, and beautiful in a strange way. Her skin was pale blue and shimmered softly under the lights. Her eyes, sharp like lasers, stared at the screen. "Commander," said her officer, "one human signal remains. A small ship, damaged, no weapons." Ryza narrowed her eyes. "A trap? Maybe, but the signal is weak, almost peaceful." Ryza didn't like strange things. Humans were violent, emotional, unpredictable, but this signal felt different. "Prepare my shuttle," she said. "I'll go alone." The crew looked at her, surprised. No one questioned her orders. Minutes later, her small pod flew through space, sliding between the remains of human ships. Fire still burned inside some wrecks. Bodies floated in the dark. She found the source, a small human ship, broken and half dead. No defense systems, no weapons online. She scanned it twice. No tricks. Just one life form inside. She entered slowly. The air was thin. Lights flickered. Sparks jumped from broken panels. And then she saw him. A human male sat in the middle of the room. Young, with short brown hair and calm eyes. No armor, no gun, just sitting cross-legged like he was waiting for someone. He smiled when he saw her. "Hello," he said. Ryza didn't reply. She pointed her weapon at him. "Stand up," she ordered. He raised his hands but didn't move. "If I wanted to hurt you, I wouldn't be sitting here like this. You're alone. Your people are dead. Why are you smiling?" "Because you came." Ryza's eyes narrowed. "You knew I'd come." "I hoped." He stood slowly. His movements were calm, not afraid. She studied him. There was something wrong with this scene. A human should be angry, crying, screaming, not smiling, not calm. "Why didn't you run?" she asked. "Run where?" "Space is big, but you'd find me." "You gave up?" "No," he said. "I waited." Ryza lowered her weapon slightly. "For what?" He looked into her eyes. "To give you something." She frowned. "Humans give gifts? After losing everything?" He reached into his pocket slowly. She tensed, ready to shoot. But he only pulled out a small box. Simple, metal, harmless. "This is for you," he said. "Open it later. Not now." "What is it?" "Not a bomb," he joked. She didn't laugh. He placed the box on a nearby table and stepped back. "It's something you don't have." She didn't touch the box. Instead, she asked, "Who are you?" "Just a mechanic." "My name's Leo. You're not a soldier?" "Not really, I fix things." "So what are you doing here?" "Waiting, watching, and hoping someone like you would come." She didn't understand. Aliens didn't hope. They calculated. They followed orders. "You make no sense," she said. "Maybe that's what you need." Suddenly, her body reacted strangely. Her skin, usually pale blue, turned a soft red. Not bright, but clear. She gasped and stepped back. Embarrassment? Confusion? Her people had no name for this. Leo noticed. He smiled again. "So, it's true. You do blush." "No, we do not," she snapped. But her color deepened. She turned away, angry at herself. "What's in the box?" she asked, again. "You'll understand. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day. You think I'll keep it?" "I think you already want to." She hated how calm he was, how peaceful. Her mission was clear. Scan the signal, report, return. But now, everything felt different. "My people will come soon," she warned. "Then I should say what I need to say." He stepped forward, but not close enough to threaten her. "You can destroy us, burn our world, but before you do, just know We're not all monsters. Some of us still believe in something better. And sometimes all it takes is one voice, one choice to change everything. Riza stared at him. Silence stretched between them. You offer me a choice? Yes? Why? Because you're not what they say either. She didn't know what to say. No one had ever spoken to her like this, not with fear, not with anger. Just belief. Her skin stayed red. She hated that. She picked up the box. It was light. I should arrest you, she said. Maybe, he replied. She stared at him one last time, then turned to leave. As she walked through the dark hallway of the ship, she whispered to herself, "Why would you offer me that?" The question stayed with her, even as she flew back to her fleet. Even as her ship disappeared into the stars, and the box sat quietly in her hand, waiting. The offer, the stars passed silently outside Commander Riza's window. But her mind was louder than ever. She had returned to her warship, but something felt wrong. The metal halls, the perfect order, the cold silence. These had once been comforting. Now they felt like a cage. She held the small metal box in her hand. She hadn't opened it. Not yet. It was sitting on her desk like it was watching her. It had no buttons, no lights, no tech her scanners could detect. Just a box. But her hands trembled every time she touched it. Why did he give it to me? What did he mean by something you don't have? She replayed the scene over and over in her mind. The way Leo had smiled, the calm in his voice, the way her skin had turned red. Red, the color of warning, of alarm. But when he saw it, he smiled, like it meant something else. A message beeped. Her second-in-command appeared on the screen. Commander, the voice was sharp, formal. High Council requests your report. Shall I patch them through? Delay them 10 minutes, she said quickly. Yes, Commander. She stood and stared at the box again. This was foolish. She was trained. Logical. Emotions were weaknesses. But somehow, a human mechanic had made her question everything in just a few minutes. Why didn't he beg for his life? Why did he offer me a choice? Her fingers moved on their own. She opened the box. Nothing exploded. Inside, there was only a small data crystal, old human tech, too simple for any threat. She inserted it into the terminal. The screen blinked. Then a video began to play. Leo appeared, not smiling this time. Serious, quiet, sitting on the same floor where she met him. If you're watching this, he said, you're curious, that's good. It means there's still something inside you that your empire hasn't killed yet. Riza's eyes narrowed. I'm not a hero, Leo said. I'm not brave or important. But I've seen things. I've seen what happens to people when they stop believing in anything good. When they stop trusting each other. You may think humans are weak, but weakness isn't crying. Weakness is pretending you feel nothing at all. Riza's hand clenched. I don't know what they taught you, he continued. Maybe they told you we're savages, selfish, dangerous. But I wanted you to see at least one of us. Not fighting, not screaming, just offering something else. He paused. A choice. He looked straight into the camera. You don't have to take it. You can return, follow orders, destroy Earth. Maybe that's the smart move. Maybe that's what they expect. The screen glitched slightly. Or, he said, voice lower now, you can do what they fear most. You can listen to your own thoughts. You can feel something, even if it hurts. His face softened. And if you ever decide to understand us, not as enemies but as people, then come back. I left coordinates in the file. They lead to a place with no weapons, no war, just a fire and maybe a cup of something warm. The screen went black. No music, no ending, just silence. Commander Riza stood frozen. A fire? A warm drink? What kind of offer was this? It wasn't romantic, it wasn't strategic, it wasn't even logical, but it was powerful. Because it wasn't a trap. It was trust. and that scared her more than any weapon. A sharp knock on the door broke her thoughts. Her second-in-command entered. Tall, gray-skinned, and cold-eyed. "Commander," he said, "the High Council is growing impatient." She closed the box. Calm again. "Tell them the human signal was weak. No survivors. Nothing of value." He raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure? I scanned the ship myself," she said flatly. The human was dead. He nodded, but his eyes lingered on her. Then he left. As the door closed, Riza sat back down. She looked at the coordinates stored in the data file. It wasn't a trap. If he wanted to trick her, he'd have done it already. She leaned back and whispered to herself, "What are you doing, Leo?" But a deeper voice inside her whispered another question. "What am I doing?" She didn't know it yet, but a quiet storm was forming in her. A rebellion not of guns or orders, but of thought, of feeling. And in the heart of that storm was a human who had offered her nothing but a choice and peace. For the first time in her life, Commander Riza didn't know what her next order should be. But the red glow hadn't left her skin. The conflict commander Riza sat alone in her private chamber, but her mind was far from still. The cold glow of the stars outside her window no longer comforted her. Silence had once been her strength. Now it whispered too many questions. The box from Leo was gone. She had destroyed it, or at least that's what she told herself. In truth, she had hidden it, locked it behind a sealed panel no one would find. But she couldn't hide the thoughts in her head. A choice. He had given her a choice. Not an order, not a demand. Just a path she hadn't seen before. Her fingers rested on her console. The coordinates were still there, burned into her memory. Not just a location, an idea. A challenge to everything she believed. And yet she had lied to the council. No survivors, she had said. No value in the wreckage, she had reported. But someone didn't believe her. On the lower decks of the alien flagship, First Commander, Farrell studied the surveillance logs. He was old, cold, and loyal to the Empire without question. He had fought in more than 20 galactic wars. He knew how to spot a lie. Not with his eyes, but with patterns. Behavior, hesitation, tone. And Riza had hesitated. She had gone alone. Broken protocol. Stayed longer than needed. And when she returned, her energy levels were altered. Emotional spikes. Increased heat signature. Slight change in skin tone. Blush. She had blushed. No alien commander blushes unless something unexpected happens. Something human. He opened a private channel and sent a quiet message. Commander Riza may be compromised. Request permission. To observe and report. Covert status. He didn't need a reply. He knew it would come soon. Meanwhile, Riza stood in the war room, staring at the giant map of Earth. Tiny red lights marked targets. Cities, defense stations, communication hubs. The invasion was moving forward. The council is pleased, an admiral said beside her. You completed your task. You saw no sign of resistance? Nothing worth mentioning, Riza replied. She could feel his eyes on her. Strange, he said. Humans usually leave behind noise, messages, emotion. Not this one. Perhaps, he said softly. Or perhaps you're keeping something. Riza turned her head slowly. Are you accusing me of dishonesty? He smiled. Of course not, Commander, just curious. She walked away, but she felt their eyes following her. Suspicion had begun to bloom like rot beneath the surface. In her quarters, she activated a hidden screen. The message from Leo played again. This time, she focused on the end. You can follow orders, or you can listen to your own thoughts. Those words echoed louder now, because following orders meant pressing the button launching the first strike, and the council had just sent her the codes. She now had the power to begin a war that would burn billions, and the human who offered her peace would die first. Later that night, she stood alone in the launch chamber. No guards, no lights except the glowing red interface. All it needed was her confirmation. One word. Confirm. Her hand hovered over the panel, but her mind whispered something else. What if he's right? What if this is the last chance to stop the killing? Her hand trembled. Behind her, a soft voice spoke. You hesitate. She turned. Verrill stood in the shadows, watching. What are you doing here? She asked, too quickly. I came to witness the end of the human race, he said. But it seems the end is waiting. On your finger. Ryza said nothing. What did the human say to you? He asked. She didn't answer. Verrill stepped closer. You lied to the council, I know. They know. Still, she stayed silent. I could report you, but I won't. Not yet. Her eyes narrowed. Why? Because I want to see what happens next. He leaned in closer. You see, Ryza, some of us are tired too. Tired of wars, tired of silence. But we don't know how to stop. We only know how to obey. He pointed to the panel. Press the button, or don't. But either way, your story has already changed everything. Then he walked away. Hours later, Ryza stood on the bridge of her ship. The fleet was ready. The invasion countdown had begun. 10 minutes. She looked at the map of Earth again. This time she didn't see targets. She saw people. One of them had made her blush. One of them had made her doubt. But she wasn't sure if that made her weak or finally awake. She opened a private channel. No logs. No records. She typed a single message. Coordinates received. I might come. Not yet. But soon. She sent it to Leo's old frequency. Maybe he would see it. Maybe not. Then she turned off the comms. And for the first time in her life, Commander Ryza didn't follow the order. Meanwhile, on a small hidden outpost on the dark side of Mars, a tiny screen blinked. A message appeared. Leo read it slowly, then smiled. She's thinking, he whispered. That's all we needed. He looked at the fire he had built beside him. Warm, real, waiting. And he poured 2 cups of tea. Escape Plan Commander Ryza stood at the edge of betrayal. From the outside, nothing had changed. Her warship still floated silently among the stars. Her uniform was perfect, her expression calm. The invasion countdown still ticked down in the background, but inside her something was breaking. She hadn't pressed the launch code, she hadn't given the command. Instead, she had delayed the inevitable, made up lies, technical problems, power fluctuations. But how long could she stall? She stood alone now in the command chamber, pretending to read reports. Her crew moved, around her like machines, efficient, loyal, blind. None of them knew what she was hiding. A message sent to a human, a data crystal locked in her wall. A war she no longer wanted to start, and someone was watching her. From a shadowed hallway, First Commander Verrill observed silently. He no longer trusted her. He once thought she was the Empire's perfect soldier, brilliant, emotionless, feared. Now he saw cracks, hesitation, something human. He had hacked her private logs, intercepted her secret transmission. A message sent to the same human she had lied about. And worse. No attempt to erase the evidence. Careless. Or desperate. Either way, she had crossed a line. He turned and walked toward the High Council's satellite chamber. She would be dealt with. Quickly. Meanwhile, Ryza walked into her private quarters, locked the door, and activated a hidden terminal. She played Leo's message one last time, not to study it, but to remember. You can follow orders, he said, or you can listen to your own thoughts. Those words had taken root, not just in her mind, but in her soul. A word her people didn't even believe in, but now she did, and it was time to make a decision. She opened the floor panel and pulled out a thin, unauthorized data stick. Stolen tech. Illegal, but powerful. It held a map of secret warp tunnels, unmonitored, ancient, abandoned. If she took her personal scout ship, She could vanish through one of them and reach Leo's coordinates in less than 6 hours. If she waited, she'd never get another chance. Her mind was made. She stood. But before she could move, the lights cut out. The entire room fell into darkness. A second later, emergency red lights lit up. A voice echoed through the ship. Security. Lockdown initiated, all decks sealed. Commander Ryza, report to the detention chamber immediately. They knew. Outside her room, soldiers lined up, helmets on, weapons raised. Inside, Ryza moved fast. She activated her wall panel, typed a command code only she knew. A small door hissed open, her emergency escape shaft. She had built it herself, years ago, in case of assassination attempts. Now, she was using it against her own people. She slipped inside the narrow metal tunnel, crawling fast. Behind her, soldiers blasted the door. They were too late. 20 minutes later, a scout-class fighter launched from the ship's underbelly. Small, fast, nearly invisible to scanners. No official launch code, no permission. Inside, Ryza gripped the controls tightly. Her eyes scanned the stars. She was not escaping from war. She was racing toward a question. A simple mechanic had changed everything. Back on the flagship, Varel watched the empty launch bay. She's gone, the officer said beside him. Varel didn't speak. He just tapped his comm. Report to High. Command. Commander Ryza is now considered a traitor. Activate the Hunter fleet. I want her found. And if possible, taken alive. The officer hesitated. Why alive? Varel's voice turned cold. Because if she truly believes what the human told her, I want to hear her say it. 3 hours later. Deep space. Unmarked zone. Ryza's ship emerged from a warp tunnel, shaking violently. The path was unstable, centuries old, but she had made it. In front of her, a small moon, barely visible. Atmosphere thin but livable. Energy, readings, minimal. No weapons. And one small heat signal. She landed in a quiet crater. Dust swirled around her ship. She stepped out slowly, weapon holstered, heart uncertain. And then, she saw him. Leo was sitting near a fire, exactly where he said he'd be. Not surprised, not afraid, just waiting. You came, he said softly. She didn't speak. She walked closer, slowly, like approaching something sacred. The fire crackled between them. Warm, real, human. She looked around. No traps, no soldiers. Just one man and 2 cups. He poured her a drink and handed it to her. She took it, but didn't sip. You understand what I've risked? She asked finally. Yes. My own fleet will come after me. I'm a fugitive now. I know. And you still sit here. Calmly. Leo smiled. Because I didn't ask you to run. I asked you to choose. She looked at him. Really? Looked. He was tired, dirty but calm. Like someone who had seen storms and survived them. You don't hate me, she said. Should I? I've killed humans. And I've lost people, but hate won't fix anything. She looked down at the cup in her hands. It was shaking. You confuse me, she whispered. Good, he said. That means something inside you is waking up. She raised her head. But what if it's 2? Leo's eyes darkened. Then we make sure it's not. Rebellion, the night sky above the moon was too quiet, too perfect. Commander Ryza sat beside the fire, staring into the flames like they could burn away her doubts. Across from her, Leo sat calmly, his back resting against a rock, as if they weren't being hunted by an empire. The stars above them blinked. Some were real. Some were ships. She knew the Hunter fleet was coming. She had felt it the moment she stepped off her escape pod. Empires didn't forget. They didn't forgive. And they never allowed someone like her to think for herself. But, for now there was only this moment. The warmth of the fire, the smell of old earth tea, the sound of her own heartbeat fast and uncertain. You can still run, she told Leo. He raised an eyebrow. Why would I run now? Because when they find us, they won't ask questions. They'll kill you and take me in chains. Leo smiled faintly. They might. Or maybe you'll stop them. She looked away. I'm not that strong. You don't have to be strong, he said. You just have to be finished with following lies. She closed her eyes. She already was. High above them, inside the lead ship of the Hunter fleet, Commander Varel stood before the viewing window. The moon was in sight now. We've tracked her signal to surface coordinates, an officer reported. She's with the human. Are the strike teams ready? Yes, sir. Varel stared at the moon like it had insulted him. No mistakes, he said coldly. No disintegrations. We want them both alive. Understood. On the surface, the wind shifted. Ryza stood suddenly, her training still sharp. They're close. Leo didn't move. How close? He asked. Minutes. Then it's time. For what? He reached into a small case behind him and pulled out a device. Circular, glowing faintly blue. Alien tech. Her tech. Where did you get that? She asked sharply. I didn't steal it. Someone gave it to me. Long ago. He tapped the device. A hologram blinked to life. A map of the moon. Beneath them, tunnels. Deep. Forgotten. And one. Ship hidden inside the rock. Her eyes widened. You've had a ship this whole time? No. You did, he said. You just didn't know it. He stood and looked her in the eyes. Someone in your empire left it here for a future that never came. Maybe they gave up, but we don't have to. Seconds later, they were running. The fire went out behind them as they entered the tunnel entrance, hidden beneath a loose boulder. Old stone gave way to metal. Alien lights flickered on as Ryza moved forward, her hand touching the walls like she was remembering something ancient. These tunnels were built during the first rebellion, she whispered. There was a first? Leo asked. Before my time. The Empire erased it, said it never happened. But it did, she nodded. And now it begins again. Above the moon, the first wave of dropships launched. Commander Varel stood at the edge of the landing bay, helmet in hand, his eyes colder. Then deep space. Commander Ryza, he whispered. You should have died a hero. The ship was still there, deep under the rock, buried for decades, covered in dust and silence. Sleek, dark silver. More advanced than anything in the Empire's current fleet. Ryza stepped toward it with a strange reverence. The ship responded to her presence. The lights blinked to life. The engines hummed quietly, like they had been asleep and were now dreaming again. Leo stood beside her, watching her face. You know how to fly it? It knows me, she said. They boarded. The door sealed behind them, just as the scanner warned. Multiple enemy ships landing. Ryza ran her hands over the controls. The ship's systems came online faster than she expected. Faster than anything she had ever flown. Weapons armed, engines charged. We'll never outrun all of them, Leo said. We don't need to outrun, she replied. We just need to make a statement. He looked at her confused. She opened the comms. To all Empire vessels, she said calmly. This is Commander Ryza. There was silence on the other end. Then, Commander, you are under arrest. Power down and surrender. She didn't. Instead, she pressed a button and broadcasted Leo's original message across all frequencies. The message he recorded in his broken ship. The one about choice, trust, and peace. It echoed through space. Ships heard it. Soldiers, officers, even Varel. He listened in silence. Ryza's voice followed it. You tell us humans are weak. That emotion is weakness. But maybe, emotion is what makes us strong. Maybe we are the ones who forgot what it means to feel, to forgive, to choose. She paused, then said, I have made my choice. I will not be your weapon anymore. Then she cut the signal and engaged the ship's engine. It launched out of the cave like a meteor, burning through rock, light blazing behind it. On the surface, Empire ships opened fire. But she was faster. She weaved between blasts, her ship dancing, through the storm like it had been waiting for this moment for years. Leo gripped his seat. "You sure this is going to work?" "No," she said, smiling slightly. "But for once, I'm not afraid to fail." Above them, Farrell's ship turned. He saw the rogue vessel appear. He saw his soldiers hesitating. He heard Rise's words still echoing through the fleet, and for a brief moment, he hesitated too. Then he spoke. "Disable her ship. Capture the human. Kill anyone who listens to her." But it was too late. Something had already changed. On one small vessel, a young alien pilot removed her helmet. Her skin glowed slightly red. She whispered, "She's right," and she turned off her weapon system. Then another, and another. Small acts, silent, unseen. But rebellion had begun. The human offer. The stars were moving too fast. Commander Riza sat in the cockpit of the ancient alien ship, watching the endless blur of space as they flew through hypershift. Outside they were unreachable, too far, too fast, too quiet. Inside everything was louder than ever. Leo was asleep in the chair beside her. Not deeply. The kind of sleep where the body rests, but the mind still listens. She hadn't slept since their escape. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw faces, soldiers who once followed her without question, now hunting her. She saw Varel's eyes, calm, patient, waiting to crush her like a lesson. And deeper still, she saw herself, sitting across from a human, drinking something warm, laughing even. Laughing. She didn't recognize that version of herself, and yet it felt more real than all her years of perfect obedience. The ship hummed beneath her hands. The controls pulsed like a heartbeat. It responded to her with strange ease, as if it knew what she needed before she asked. But even this ship could not answer the question burning inside her. What was Leo really offering her? Leo stirred, then opened his eyes. He looked at her, not with suspicion or fear, but something softer. "Still flying?" he asked. "We need to stay ahead of them," she replied. He sat up slowly, rubbing his eyes. "You don't need to run forever." She looked at him. "Then what do I do?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he asked, "Why did you come back?" That question was sharper than any blade. "Because I didn't want to start the war," she said. "No. That's what you stopped." He leaned forward. "Why did you come back to me?" She looked away. "I don't know." "Yes, you do." Her fingers tightened on the flight stick. "I thought you had a plan," she said. "I thought you had allies, hidden forces, something. But it was just you. One man, one message. And a fire," Leo smiled. "Fire is where everything begins." "But what do you want from me?" she finally snapped. "Why me? Why not convince someone else? A politician? A scientist? Someone who matters?" "You matter. I'm a soldier. Not anymore." His words struck harder than they should have, because they were true. And deep down, she was terrified of what that meant. The ship's console blinked. An alert. Long-range signal detected. Encrypted. Alien signature. Riza frowned. "Someone's trying to reach us," she said. Leo looked up. "The Empire?" "No," she said, eyes narrowing. "This encryption, it's older, almost forgotten." She tapped the controls. The signal opened. A voice came through. Rough, feminine, aged by time and prison. "Commander Riza, if you can hear this, it means the stories were true." Riza froze. "I am Commander Alanva, first voice of the Forgotten Fleet. They erased us, silenced us, said we were never real. But we are still here, waiting, and we saw you." Leo's eyes widened. "Someone answered?" "We saw the red glow return, the signal we were told to follow, the one who would not obey." If you truly have broken the chain, come to us. Coordinates attached. The signal ended. Silence fell over the cockpit. Leo whispered, "Was that real?" Riza didn't speak. Not yet. Her heart beat faster. The forgotten fleet. The ancient rebellion they taught her was a lie, and now it was reaching out to her. They followed the coordinates. 17 hours later, they dropped out of hypershift above a shattered planet. Nothing on the charts, no cities, no signals, but beneath the surface, life. They landed inside a crater, and the ground opened. The ship descended into a hidden hangar carved into the bones of the world. Hundreds of rebel ships were inside. Quiet. Waiting. Leo whispered, "This is impossible." "This is truth," Riza said. They were met by a group of soldiers, older, scarred, with a fire in their eyes she had never seen in her own people. They did not salute her. They didn't bow. But they looked at her with something far more dangerous. Hope. Alenva stood at the center of the room. Tall, her white hair falling over armor that hadn't been polished in years. "You are real," Alenva said softly. Riza nodded. "So are you." Alenva touched Riza's cheek gently. "I never thought I'd live to see another commander. Break free." "I don't know if I've broken anything," Riza said. "I just stopped lying." "Then that's enough." Later that night, Riza sat alone in the empty hangar. The ship she flew here with sat in the shadows like a sleeping animal. Leo found her carrying 2 cups again. "They're calling you the Red Flame," he said, handing her a drink. "I don't want to be their symbol." "You already are." She took the cup and stared at it. "You knew this would happen, didn't you?" "Not this exactly," Leo said. "I just believed that if you ever got to choose, you'd choose something better." "Why?" she asked. "Why believe in me?" His eyes met hers. "Because when you pointed your weapon at me, your hand was shaking." That memory hit hard. "I've killed before," she said. "I know. I could have killed you." "You didn't." "Because I was curious," she said. "Not merciful." Leo leaned closer. "Curiosity is where change begins." Her skin turned slightly red again. She hated it, and yet, for once, she didn't hide it. "You said you weren't offering peace," she whispered. "I wasn't." "Then what were you offering?" Leo paused, then said, "You." She blinked. "Me?" "Not your loyalty, not your service, just you. The version of you, who's buried under all those orders. The one who might laugh at a fire or dream of something different. You offered me the chance to be myself?" He nodded. She stared at him for a long time, then whispered, "I don't even know who that is. Then we'll find her together." The red glow means the silence before war is never quiet. Commander Riza stood at the edge of the rebel command platform, high above the shattered planet that had become her temporary home. Hundreds of ships filled the sky above, forming a fragile line between the stars and what remained of forgotten freedom. She wasn't wearing her old uniform anymore. The Empire's sharp gray armor had been replaced by something simpler, lightweight, flexible, and unmarked. No ranks, no colors, just her. But her skin was glowing, a soft red, faint at first, but growing stronger. For the first time, she didn't try to hide it. "They're coming," said Leo beside her. He had read the message just minutes ago. The silencer fleet was on its way, the Empire's final command. If they couldn't control her, they would erase everything she touched. "How many ships?" she asked. "At least 2,000. Riza took a slow breath. "Then we give them something they don't expect." High above, the Empire's fleet emerged from hypershift like a black wave. Towering dreadnoughts, stealth cruisers, weapon platforms the size of cities. Commander Varel stood at the center of it all, aboard a ship so large it had its own gravity. His orders were clear. No speeches, no threats, total silence. Total destruction. He stared at the rebel coordinates. One command, and the sky would fall. On the surface, Ryza stood before the rebels. Dozens of species, former enemies, broken scientists, rogue officers, outcasts, who had once believed they were alone. She raised her voice. We can't win by matching their firepower. We don't have enough ships. Not enough soldiers. Not enough time. Murmurs spread. But we have something they fear more than our weapons. She let the silence stretch. We have doubt. The crowd listened. Every soldier up there was once like me, told what to do, who to hate, who to fear. They were never given a choice. And when they see us standing here untogether, some of them will begin to wonder. And wondering, she said, is the first crack in a perfect system. In the control tower, Leo worked fast. He wasn't a pilot or a fighter, but he knew machines. And he had a plan. He activated a broadcast signal, not to jam the Empire, but to share something. Riza's old memory core, her conversations with Leo, her first hesitation, the moment she said no, her message to the fleet. Everything. You're uploading it to their ships? Asked Alanva. Leo nodded. Not all of them will listen. No, she said. But maybe enough. As the Empire fleet aligned its weapons, the data hit them. Silent flashes across dashboards. Unauthorized files. Hidden images. A woman in uniform, red glow on her skin, speaking calmly. I was one of you. I believed in order, in control, in silence. But silence is a prison. I found something else, not weakness, not chaos. Choice. Some ignored it, others paused, and in that moment of hesitation, the red flame spread. Varel saw it. Shut it down, he barked. We're trying, shouted the technician. But it's not a virus, it's a memory. Varel's fist slammed into the console. Fire. Now. On the surface, the sky cracked open. Empire ships rained fire across the rebel perimeter. Energy walls flared. Explosions tore through empty ground. Decoys. Traps. But Ryza didn't move. Not yet. She waited for one signal, and then it came. 10 Empire ships have gone dark, said Alenva. No fire, no movement. Just silence. They're thinking, said Leo. Ryza turned to her team. Launch wave 1. Hold the line. And get me a channel to Varel. Deep in the Empire's flagship, Varel watched as ships stopped firing. He opened the comms with a snarl. Traitor. Coward. You think you can win this with speeches? Ryza's face appeared on his screen, calm. I already have. You've turned a few minds. That doesn't stop what's coming. You're right, she said. Words. Can't stop ships, but maybe you can. Varel stared at her. You were once my commander, she said. You trained me, shaped me. You said loyalty was strength, but what if strength is knowing when to change? Varel's face tightened. You've been infected. By hope. By weakness. No, she said softly. I've been awakened. The battle raged. Some Empire ships still fired. Others broke formation. 2 rebel fighters went down. 1 Empire cruiser switched sides. Chaos unfolded like a slow-blooming flower. Ryza watched it all, unblinking. This isn't a war anymore, she said. This is a mirror, and they're starting to see themselves. Leo stepped beside her. They see you. Then came the moment she feared most. A massive superweapon charged in orbit, one that could destroy the entire surface in one strike, built for cleansing, Varel's final command. If I can't stop you, he said into the private line, I'll bury the memory of you under 1,000 tons of ash. Then do it, Riza said. He paused. No final plea? She shook her head. If you kill me, you'll prove me right. The Empire fears truth, and you'll never erase the glow. It's already spreading. Varel's hand hovered over the final trigger. His face twisted, eyes shaking, decades of loyalty screaming in his veins. Then, he lowered his hand and said nothing. The Empire fleet stopped firing, one by one. Some turned away, others powered down, and then, Varel's own ship went dark. On the surface, the battle ended without an explosion, just silence. Not fear. Not surrender. Peace. Later, as the red sun rose over the crater base, Ryza stood beside Leo. Both of them watched ships land, some rebel, some empire, now talking. Questioning, not yet allies, but no longer enemies. "You still glowing?" Leo asked. She looked down at her arms. The red shimmer was soft now. "Seems like it." "So," he said. "What does it mean now?" She smiled. "It doesn't mean warning anymore. Or danger, or shame." She touched her chest. "It means I'm alive." He nodded. "And what now?" She turned toward the arriving crowd. Soldiers who had once been enemies. Now, watching her, waiting for a future no one had written yet. "Now," she said, "we build something better." And she took his hand, not in romance, not in victory, in partnership.